Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going for a slightly different perspective for this Leap Day video. Yes, you're viewing this at a slightly different angle. So, yeah. I, uh, I recalled my topic that I was going to discuss yesterday, but I conveniently forgot 5 minutes, seconds before I pressed record. And I have had all day to sit on it. So, hopefully, this one comes out pretty good. And we always talk about innovation in video games and how a game comes out with some brand new concept or a new format for a game style, and everyone's like, "That was so revolutionary," and it sells a bunch of copies. And then they make the sequel, and everyone's like, "Well, it didn't really improve on the first. It had nothing new compared to the first game." And every time someone says this, I just want to sit there and smack the dude. Well, of course there's nothing new. It's a sequel. I mean, certainly you want to have new gameplay mechanics and all that crap, but you can't expect them to rewrite the freaking book every time they make a new game, especially if it's a sequel. The difference between Halo 1 and Halo 2, energy swords didn't disappear, Fjord cannons didn't blow up, and you could dual wield. And the AI would drive. That was convenient. But otherwise, it was a sequel. Totally fine sequel, if you ask my opinion. And we have this year, same with last year, was a year. We've had a couple years of sequels. I'm anxiously awaiting Mass Effect 3. As I've said many times before. But I think that although mechanics they've added in that they've sort of readapted from the first game, might end up making the game feel new enough that it might not be hit by this. Oh, there's something new to it because they're redefining it. They're adding old elements back in, and because the game changed so dramatically from 1 to 2 that from 2 to 3 the game is going to feel new enough, hopefully. And then I can look at a game like Bioshock Infinite that's coming out later this year. We have no idea how different it's going to actually be from the first Bioshock or the second one. We have like the trailers and stuff. We notice we the skyhooks and everything, but otherwise, we're still very in the dark unless you've played it at like a press event or something. Tell me stuff. I want to know. Please tell me. We don't know. We don't know. And I like not that at all. I hate that. So, I think the fact that we don't know about new gameplay elements by its very nature, the fact that it's such a new game, that it's not going to treat it so much as a sequel, but like it's difficult to describe what Bioshock Infinite actually is because it's not a sequel. We don't know exactly if it's a prequel. I mean, if you like beat it, it's like, oh, because you did this because you saved the city of Columbia. Now Andrew Ryan's going to be born. It's like, well, that explains why Bioshock 1 and 2 exists. But at the moment, we don't know much about it. And, you can say the same thing about Borderlands 2, specifically. The first one was like, oh wow, it's this cool combination of RPG and shooter. And I was like, well, now you go searching for all these guns and shit. So it's like an MMO. But there's also like this really cool combat with, your grenades and your active ability. And you're like customizing all your shit. And it's like, well, Gearbox looked at that and went, that's sort of That's sold really well, and that concept was really well received. All right, let's just blow it out of proportion. Let's go crazy with the customization, at least from what we've seen so far. So, who's to say, how different it's going to be to the point where it feels like a new game with new mechanics, or is it just going to be a sequel that improves? Is it going to feel new? That's a big issue. Is it new enough? Have the new design decisions, compensated for the waves that the original made? Who's to know? I mean, you could bring up games like Darksiders, and while yes, it's not a sequel, it's a parallel story. You are playing as Death, who's having his own shenanigans at the same time that War is saving humans. So it's going to be very interesting because it's a different combat style, different. It's a wholly different way of playing, but it's still in the same universe. So who knows? This is something that's a really big design question when you're making a game, especially if you intend to have sequels. You have to go, how far can we change it before it becomes so mutilated that it isn't so much a sequel as it is a completely different game with the name slapped on it? That's always a good question I like to ask. When is it not so much a sequel, but just a new game using the franchise to sell it? Always consider that whenever you judge a game. Thank you very much for watching tonight's video. It's tight tonight for me for 3 more minutes. Then it becomes a new month. Yay, leap year days. There's a mathematical reason why it happens every 4 years. It's because days aren't 24 hours long. They're like 23 hours and 59 minutes and 47.8 seconds or whatever. And every 4 years, that equates to 1 day. So that's why we have 1 day where it's a leap date every year. That's your explanation. There's your knowledge for today. I educate you. Welcome to the Video Game Channel. Thanks for watching today's video. See you tomorrow. If I don't forget a topic.